discuss and have discussed when I've hit them during the playthrough. The difference is that, or if it's going enough and they make enough money, but they were planning on making a Gabriel Knight 4. Or they're gonna do remake, as long as Activision is on, who has the rights to share, who bought all the rights, who has the rights to Gabriel Knight. As long as they're on board with licensing, they can pretty much do what they want. The problem is that, from what I know, is that Activision just said, well, you can make a game, we will give you the license, but we will not fund it, so they're not going to publish it. So that's the whole thing there. Let's see here, let's talk a little bit to Mosley.
Can I ask you about some stuff?
You're the writer. Ask away.
Really not much. Let's see.
What's the status on the Voodoo Murders case?
It sure as hell ain't going well. There's a lot of brakes being applied in different areas of the investigation. We're getting some real info on the victims now, and they're not exactly upstanding citizens. I was hoping to get more out of Crash, but he's scared shitless. We'll have to let him go tomorrow morning.
Okay, tomorrow he's gonna be available so we can talk to him. Get out of here. Around here.
I'm gonna hit the road.
Ciao, baby.
So let's go to that, what's it called? Oh, first off, we're gonna go to the park. The guy who actually we gave the 4 markings to, he should have something for us now. That day, so let's find that.
How's it going today?
What? Oh, it's only you. Man, I have been jumpy all day. That pattern of yours really freaked me out for some reason. There's just something creepy.
You finished it?
Yeah, and you're welcome to it. Here.
Wow, this is great.
Uh-huh. Just don't, like, blow up the planet with it or something, okay?
I didn't mean to upset you.
Oh, forget it. I'm probably just being stupid. Do your thing with it, and good luck.
Okay. Let's see here, there should... Yeah. The problem is that you really have to be...
Come on, boys. Hoopla.
Give me a second, I'll have to actually... Yeah, does she draw her veil?
There's no way. Madame Lorelei dances only when she's inspired. Gabriel cannot interrogate that. Gabriel doesn't want to take that out of the park. The park officials might not...
Not a bad idea.
Okay, to your question there, out of park, I've seen a lot of people get stuck on the mind puzzle in the anniversary as you pointed out. That's true. I haven't actually seen a lot of videos about it, but the problem is with the new version compared to this one here. The park seems smaller, so there's a little less area to move around in. That means that if you get too close to, for instance, the people who are walking around, the mind will go ahead and mimic their movements instead of yours. That's actually one thing that I actually talked about when we actually first visited the park here after I played the anniversary edition, is that the park seems a lot smaller design-wise in the new version compared to the original size from this version here. It's a lot bigger. It seems a lot bigger, a lot more room, and you should actually think it's larger. But I think it's how they drew it seems smaller. It's just the area here. You actually also see there is multiple areas you walk to compared to, for instance, music-wise. There's one music type here. When you go to the down right corner where the I think the policeman is, it's blues. So they've put in a lot more features into it. But I think it might be the limitations of money-wise. They've actually designed it that way. I don't know why. I would actually like to hear a documentary about the design choices of many of the aspects through the game here. In the new version, because there are some things that are just puzzle-wise and stuff like that. They implemented some new puzzles where I think some of the new puzzles are stupid. I don't like them. One of them is, for instance, the way you will see, or you saw in the past, I talked about, I think it was yesterday, where you actually have to get translated these here excuse me, these here markings you find on the tomb. And that is, in my opinion, just a blocker. I think the new puzzle that is added is stupid. I don't like it, at least. But there are some small things, design choices that I don't like. But again, it's hard to figure out what's good or bad. But all in all, it is a great
Gabriel examines the veil with a
a great game.
glass.
No matter what, it is a great game.
That sequin looks a little strange. Why, it's a snake scale. This is the last page of inventory. Gabriel carefully uses the tweezers to remove the snake scale from the veil.
I think this veil belongs to you.
Huh, my veil. I'm always losing those things. You have no idea. Well, darling, you're such a sweetie to return a lady's delicates, and so handsome as well.
Well,
And since you have such a clear interest in fortune-telling, let me see your
No problem for the run for it.
They
Love
look
talking about this
so
game. It's,
strong.
as I said, one of my
Perhaps
favorite
they will make both our
point-and-click
fortunes
games.
clear.
I
No?
might actually
I wish something
someone
would.
go back and play, for instance.
Strong. Yes.
Not Manic mentioned,
Yeah,
that's a
so
really
good.
tough one.
And
It hasn't actually aged that
flexible.
well, but they have the tentacle.
You don't
That's
know
a
the
game.
half of it.
Secret of the Monkey
Oh,
Island.
good.
Secret of the Monkey
I
Island
see a
2.
mysterious woman in your immediate
Those
future.
are definitely my favorite.
Madame Lorelei
Zach
winks
McCracken
at
is
Gabriel
an interesting one.
knowingly.
Actually hoping
She
that
is
the
a
German
dangerous one.
guy who was
Dark,
actually talking about
beautiful.
remaking it
I
has
see the road of your
finished the
life,
remake.
folk.
He's doing it out of his own pocket in
Very
free time. I've seen
soon.
some of them. Also, I've
The
seen
blood
actually me
drains from
making a
Madame
second one.
Lorelei's face in
An
instant.
homage again, so it's
Sweat
unlicensed, it's
beads
free
on
to
her
download.
upper lip.
Are you okay?
There are a lot of great games. This here is definitely one of
Oh, God.
the mid 90s were a
Beware.
great thing. As I said, after we finish this here, I'm gonna go start Gabriel Knight,
What
The Beast
is it
Within,
about me lately?
which is the second Gabriel Knight series, which is totally different. The design choices are totally different, but it's a couple of years later, and also when the CD-ROM era really started booming up. Everything was on disc back then. You can find this here was actually. Yeah, I've played the Corinthia series, Hand of Fate, which is the second one, and the third one. I've also played. Yeah, I've played those two. Pretty much all point-and-click games I've been through. The only one which I haven't played, and that's because I really didn't think it was a point-and-click game when it came out, is Grim Fandango. But that is going to be remade, and I will play that as soon as I've played that. Also, Full Throttle, for instance, a great game also. Okay, let's check here. Getting back to the game. Let me think. Yeah, we were gonna go to Universal.
It looks like the lecture's just starting. Gabriel decides to record the session.
Game Online
Voodoo
2, the
is
sins
the
of,
tribal
or not the
religion
sins
of
of
Africa.
the beast went in,
The name
is the era
actually
where
Latin,
everything
and which
was
resides
real
entire
actors.
body of
We were
distinct
trying to
tribal
implement
systems.
really TV series-wise too.
The word voodoo may sound familiar to you. What is known in the States as voodoo
Yeah, that was a tough puzzle.
is actually an amalgamation of African religious systems, voodoo, and European religions, primarily Catholicism. All of the subcults of African voodoo have certain things in common.
Also, for instance, if you see that this here auditorium is also seems a lot bigger
Single deity that the Christian and Muslim systems have.
than
Some of
actually
these
in the
spirits
original,
are
in the new
elementals.
one. It's also
Some
a thing
relate to
you might
specific tasks
you actually
or places.
it's a part of the auditorium, so you
Some
think like
important
it's
tribal leaders
twice
died.
the size of this here
This
at
spirit
least.
worship is what
And
makes
he's
voodoo
walking
so
around. It's
easily
on a scene
adaptable.
where actually
With all those spirits,
the
it's
new
not
design
complicated
is
anymore.
like.
Say, for example, the
It's hard to describe, but it's actually you see the
At the
front
height
area.
of
So
tribal
there
Africa,
you actually don't
warfare was
see how large it is. Maybe it's
One
going
tribe
up a lot.
conquered another.
Like I know, for
Lower,
instance, when
important
I
in
went
the
to the
conquered
university, it's
tribal
almost like
system.
a deep,
would be adopted readily into
steep
the conquered tribes' lower pantheon. In this
way of actually
many of
putting
the
in
voodoo
chairs and
cults
seats
spread,
for
ringing
the
throughout
students.
tribal Africa, enriching
But
and causing innumerable
again,
wars.
it's how you actually look at it. This here is a little more flat.
The basis
It
for
might be the
voodoo
same size,
religion
maybe,
seems to be as
maybe
old as
for
man
instance,
himself.
if you look at
It
it,
has
how
much
many
in
seats
common
there are,
with many
but
early
just
pagan
as a
practices.
perspective here, this here looks
Elemental
bigger
spirits,
to me
sympathetic magic,
of the way that
elemental
they
spirits
designed the
and
room
the heavens.
and how they present the room compared to how they present the room in the new
Africa
one.
is
That's
believed
again
by many to be the cradle
a
of
new
the
style
universe.
they chose.
Some of the voodoo lore may be as old as the Garden of Eden itself. We still can't explain some of the real power of these primal religions. And
But actually, if you want to see another great game,
primitive.
which is also, that's again,
African
I actually
locals
said
who
to talk about
battle
that during the
scientists
playthrough. That game is probably one of the
Now, let's discuss the
one
elements
of
of
the
voodoo.
hardest ones.
Fascinating guy.
If you look at the whole era of point and
The
click,
spirits of
Gloom,
the lower.
which I have a full playthrough on
During
my
the
YouTube
voodoo
channel.
ceremony,
I
celebrants
think
are
it's
possessed
1 hour or
by
1.5 hours
This is
in
called
length. It's not
human
cut
ritual.
down,
human
so
worship
you will have
is
to
a
excuse
horse
me
and
that
a
it's
robe
one long
is
movie,
the
but
divine horseman.
that
Person
game
being ridden
is
by a lord
such
takes on the
a special
characteristics of
game
that
to me
spirit and
also.
becomes, in effect,
And it's
merely a
one
vessel
rare
for a
game
more
because it
powerful
has
entity.
that all the puzzle or music inspired. Like
some
you
of
have
the
to
older, original
try and
African lore
use your
include
incantations
Amon,
for
the
the
great
music.
serpent
I found that it's rare.
is ruling.
Only it's a unique game in my opinion. Sadly,
Other
it
neighbor
was
lore.
never.
The
It hasn't been remade, and the sequel, which they were
Spirit.
talking about,
Legba,
is
Spirit of the Crossroads.
was never made.
and the cruelest and most dangerous, Ogun Badagri, the Lord of Destruction.
I gotta get more sleep at night.
Tribe-specific Loa can have as much or more power as the more widely worshipped Loa. For instance, a particular tribe might revere highly the Loa of an ancestor who was a legendary hunter or politician. Voodoo temples are called hound forts. Their priests, hound.
But again,
or
it's hard
Boko.
if you
Their priestesses,
look at
Mama Loa.
the two
In a voodoo hound
gigantic
There's a ritual circle marked
publishers
by a
and
center
makers
pole called a
of
poto.
point and click games back in the golden age, early
Ritual circle is
early
prepared with
90s,
a
late
lele,
80s.
a pattern
Uh,
of symbols.
And you look at
Each
King's
tribe's
Quest,
lele is
Police
slightly
Quest, and all
different,
that. And you look
consisting
at,
of complex symbols that
and you look
identify
at,
their
for
special
instance,
role.
LucasArts, and how they evolved and how
During
different they
ritual
were
enclaves,
at approach. And
initiates
even though
acts and
came into that
Book
unique thing where you see this here was probably one of the first share games which was
The
not
use of totems
input-wise, where you
animal
had
masks
to
and
type in
markings was
every
not uncommon in
command
the
from
original
King's
African
Quest era.
ceremonies.
And also the second,
Now,
the
though,
second thing you
all
do,
of the older
there's a
sects
lot
have
more,
abandoned
lot
this
more
practice.
knowledge that you get. You have to. The dialogue is
objects
dialogue
used during
heavy in the
the
ways
conflicts
of it's
include the
it's a
ritual
lot to
gourd or
process.
assault.
It's detailed compared to if you look at
The ritual
Monkey
knife
Island, Full Throttle, where
That
it's
knife gives me the
it's like a
chills.
movie, it's comical. There's of course knowledge.
The ritual
in it,
whip
but there are
or
two
wet
aspects of how